morning, folks. Welcome to the Mimer, the Hasidic discourse that we're learning right now, based on a verse in Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 55, verse 19. Pada b'shalom, I was redeemed. You redeemed me, my soul, in peace from battles against me, because of the many who were with me. So we need to understand this verse because you could be redeemed from a battle through battle, or you could be redeemed from the battle with peace. And the verse is saying here, it's in peace. We need to understand that. Furthermore, the verse says, that it was for me, this battle. What is the emphasis that it's for me? And then the end of the verse says, because the many who were with me. What does it mean? This is giving the reason for the being redeemed in peace, because many were with me. What does that mean? What is the many that were with me? What is the reference there? So the Rebbe explains, and we're understanding this based on mystical teachings of Chassidus, and it's as follows. So the battle first of all, to be redeemed implies, of course, that there's opposition. It implies opposition. That opposition is the redemption came because the multitude were with me. Two ways to understand that based on previous teachings of the other Rebbeim, is that they prayed for me. The multitude were with me because they prayed for me. I had support. The multitude were there with me. Another explanation is that they were with me, not just in prayer, but they were with me in being redeemed. So just to give the historical context to this, these are the words that the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, said upon his release from prison. He was in prison by the forces of the Tsar of Russia, charges, that were false charges in the end. And he was released. And he was saying this verse. They were on his lips as he was released. So this became, sort of the sign, so almost like the flag of expressing what he went through. In fact, that he was redeemed. He was redeemed in peace. The multitude were with him. They prayed with him, or not just they prayed with him, but also they themselves were redeemed. Well, the Chassidim at that time, the followers of the Alter Rebbe, were, you know, in an upheaval. They prayed, they did everything that they could, heavenly and earthly, to get his release. So for them, it was also redemption. So that's just from a historical point of view. But we're learning this more on a mystical point of view. Um, so let's understand. How do we explain this um, in service? Ultimately, everything needs to be understood in our lives and how it affects us, not just historical story and the meaning behind that, but to make it personal. In my divine service, each and every one of us are here to serve, even though, human condition is that we want to be served, but ultimately, that's not the purpose of our existence. We're here to serve. So, in divine service, in the service of the individual, we have to appreciate and understand this. Where do we need to appreciate it? Is from the source where that service comes from, is from the Torah, right? So, in the Torah itself, then, we also need to understand how this phrase, because it is part of the Torah, how it illuminates us in our lives, especially because the Torah is God's blueprints for creation. So it's not that God created a world and now He's got a a guide. He's got a methodology in how to live life. It's the opposite. The methodology and how to lead your life is based on the Torah. Torah preceded the world. It is God's wisdom. God, so to speak, looked into his wisdom. He looked at the blueprints of the Torah, which, again, his divine wisdom. And from there, he creates a world. So when we understand this idea in Torah teaching, then we'll understand how to apply it in our lives. Okay. So what does it mean to redeem in peace as it is in the Torah itself? Right? Now, we know Torah is not in heaven, meaning it is a heavenly teachings, but it's not meant to be in heaven. It has to be down here for us in this world. It has to be applied to us. It has to be learned through the minds, our minds, right? And in this world is a dark place. So in the dark world that we live in, Torah has to be redeemed. And what's important is the concept of redemption isn't, take something. In other words, it's not that the Torah now becomes in its rightful place the way it is in heaven. Because if it's only going to be redeemed and now sort of just returned, if you will, to its former place, then what's the point of it being in this world? What's the point of Torah being shared with us in a dark, you know, uh, material, self-directed world, right? What would be the point? Just to bring it back to its place. So the concept over here is that through redemption, you actually come to a better place than you were before you were redeemed. Not before you were redeemed, before you were even, imprisoned, if you will, right? Before you were imprisoned. So by the Alter Rebbe, this was very much so historically that his teachings, the teachings of Tanya, of Chassidus, were redeemed in a manner that they were more prolific in being spread out and being learned than before he was imprisoned. It was a completely different, so being his personal redemption from prison led to a greater amount of the teachings being spread throughout the world and being learned by people. So that's you go down in order to come up to a higher place. You have a challenge in life in order that through the challenge, you come to a greater place than you would have been without that you would not have reached if it was not for the challenge. Right? That's the concept over here. Greater light that comes from darkness to a greater place. Now, what does it mean with Torah? It means, well, very simple. The spiritual worlds above, the divine is a given, and and worldliness, if you will, is a novelty. Let me well, let's give the opposite of that. This world, the divine isn't obvious. It's not the default state. The default state of this world is worldliness, materiality, right? To such a degree that it becomes, a dog-eat-dog world, a jungle out there, right? That's the default state of this physical world, not the spiritual world. It's the opposite. So the default state, again, is worldliness, materiality, self-directed, for me, myself, and I, and divine. The divine in this world is a novelty. That someone acts in a divine way, for example, is not the norm. The norm is everybody is there for themselves. Everybody lives life for their own benefit. For a divine benefit, that's a novelty. That's the nature of this world. Right. And that's why there's a need in this world to have redemption, to redeem ourselves, actually, in the end, from ourselves, from our lower selves, from the animal in me. So, similarly, we have the same concept in Torah itself. What does that mean? Well, let's, all right. And then there's a battle, as life is a battle, or sorry, we're here, we redeem ourselves. And in generally, there's two ways you redeem yourself in this world. Excuse me. You redeem yourself in where does redemption really have to take place? In my heart? Because the outer layers of my heart are where I where I need redemption, because the outer layers of my heart are where my selfishness lies. And prayer allows me to connect to God, that it's about my connection to the divine as opposed to leading a selfish life. That's a battle, because in the heart, there's a battle there, because the heart by nature is self-directed. The heart, we feel ourselves, our needs, our desires, and that's, even to do good. The heart can lead you to do good, but the natural condition of the heart is to do good because it feels good, not for connection itself, not because of it's divine. That's not the nature of the heart, the external aspect of the heart. Prayer allows us to dig deeper in our heart. Prayer is about connection, but you have to battle in order to get deeper inside of you that you're seeking connection for the sake of the connection. That's what prayer is about. Not for the sake of getting something, right? You know, like a college student calls home to his father Sunday and he says, "Hey, Dad, what's happening? How's life?" Father then says to son, "No, son, how much money do you need?" Right? We make the call because we need something. That's usually what we do. We make the call to God because we need something. That's not prayer. That's not the true idea of prayer. Prayer is you make the call because you want to connect. Oh, that's digging deeper inside. That's a battle to get there. So we can be redeemed through battle, which is prayer, or there's another way to be redeemed, and that's through study of Torah. Because Torah doesn't deal with the heart specifically or primarily. It's dealing with the mind, and the mind being more objective, not subjective as the heart is, and therefore self-directed. The mind being more objective, when you talk to the mind, you can redeem the individual in peace. The person can, oh, wow, I get the truth. You don't have to fight it. Now, obviously, someone who doesn't want to hear the truth fights the truth. But that's because it's coming from the heart. It's not coming from the mind. It's the heart that is incorporating the mind, that the mind should be used in service of the heart. I don't want this. I don't like this. Okay, let me use my mind on how to get around this or how to knock this down. Yeah, right. Or you're using the mind objectively, based on the desires of the heart, to appreciate the truth. And upon appreciating the truth, there's not a battle. You know, there's not a battle. There's a, you know, the mind can give us it can be honest if it's, again, being objective and understanding the teachings as they are. So that is the distinction. But then there's also this distinction as it plays itself out in Torah itself. In other words, we just made a distinction that this world, we need to be redeemed. It's a dark world, meaning there's darkness and we have to bring light into this world. To bring light in such a way that that the downfall brings to a greater heightened place. That's the objective. So as we just explained, we can do it in two ways in waging that redemption in a manner of battle, which the battleground is in my heart, and that will be through prayer to dig deeper in my heart, as we expressed and explained. Another way is to do it through not a battle, but through peace. And that's through the mind, through study of Torah, as we're doing now, right? As we're doing now, which is not a battle. It's not a battle in the sense that you don't have to win over your heart. You just have to truly use your mind in a honest way, being objective to hear the teachings. And the teachings kind of like, kind of take you over, if you will, right? And itself redeems you. Like many people tell me after we learn, wow, they feel on a high. And it's just because their mind was open to allow them to understand and appreciate. Now, where we're going to go in the next class is understanding this redemption in Torah, that it also has two aspects of Torah, where we just said it was in peace, but there's also an aspect of being redeemed through a battle. We have both aspects in the Torah itself. More to come on what that means. Okay, thank you for joining these mystical teachings. Chassidus. God bless you.